Leah Clapper is an energetic and ambitious student athlete on the University of Florida Gymnastics team. She is passionate about athletics, learning new things, empowering others, and she enjoys creating content that inspires people to live happier and healthier lives. With this, Leah has been running her own food blog, Zest and Finesse, since May 2018, and this past December, Leah launched a gymnastics-related podcast, Zest and Progress, which uncovers athlete stories of resilience, energy, and self-confidence. In today's episode, we focus specifically on the new NIL laws that allow student athletes to capitalize on their name, image, and likeness. It's a hot topic for today's episode 161 of the WHOA G&V podcast. You are listening to WHOA podcast, coming to you from Gainesville, Florida. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the WHOA G&V podcast, the podcast bringing you businesses and individuals that make you go, whoa. I am your host, Colin Austin, and today's episode is being brought to you by the UF Mover Guys. Podcast fam, if you or someone you know is about to move, tell them to give our friends, the UF Mover Guys, a call. Brad, Jordan, and the team at UF Mover Guys can do it all. They offer full service packing. They can move bulky items. They will disassemble that furniture you need to move, because who really wants to do that? Nobody. Do you need storage? They've got your back there as well. Plus, they offer free and fast, no obligation estimates. They require no money up front. You pay when the move is complete, and you are 100% satisfied with their work. Give them a call at 352-415-0886 or visit them at ufmoverguys.com. Brad, Jordan, and the team, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for supporting our show. And I am so excited to get into today's episode. You guys, today on the show, we have the 2021 SEC Scholar Athlete of the Year, Gator Gymnast, content creator, and podcaster, Leah Clapper. Leah, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so pumped to be here tonight.
She's like, let's go. Let's do this. I'm so excited.
I am.
So, Leah, I this kind of goes into like some of our mission of really getting you students kind of involved with our business community. I'm like, oh man, this will be great. Like, let's have Leah come on the show and kind of tell her story. There's all this stuff happening with the NIL laws, and I'm excited to dive into that. So I really want to hear a lot of that from your perspective. But before we do that, like, let's just kind of dive into your story a little bit. Tell me, where you're from and how you got to Gainesville and all of that good stuff.
All of that good stuff. All right. Well, I will rewind it back to my growing up days in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Okay. I've got one sister. I am from Ann Arbor, so right by University of Michigan, and I am now a 100% Gator. So I came down to Gainesville for college, and it's a pretty interesting recruiting story. I don't know if we have the time, but I eventually let's hear it. I want to hear it. Made it down here to Gainesville. So for gymnastics, I started gymnastics when I was a toddler. I was 1.5 years old, crazy flipping everywhere in the house. My parents put me into the sport, the typical story of a really energetic kid. And I just totally fell in love and never looked back. So I grew up in the gym, gymnastics, 25, 30 hours a week through high school, became an elite gymnast, it was my life up until the point that I came to Florida, and I still totally love the sport. But when I was getting recruited, it was all about freshman year when you started really looking at schools and going on visits, and everything was way earlier than it is now because the rules changed. But I sent my first batch of emails to colleges at the end of my 8th grade year. And I had a whole list of 40 or 50 schools that I was kind of interested in. Oh, dang, okay. And University of Florida was at the very top.
Was it really?
Yes. They had just won 3 national championships, and probably every gymnast in the country wanted to be a Gator in some way, shape, or form because the Gators were just incredible. And I sent an email to University of Florida and immediately got a response back. It was generic because they weren't allowed to do anything personal, but it was like, our scholarships are full. Come back and talk to us about a walk-on your senior year if you're still interested. And I was just kind of like, oh, snap. You know, that was my dream school, but guess it's not going to happen. And I've got like 39 other schools to look at. So I moved on and went on some visits. I actually committed to a different school in the Big Ten after my freshman year of high school. I was really happy with my decision, totally intended on going there, but then, as they do, things changed. And my junior year, I had a really great season. I was competing elite gymnastics, which is the level of the Olympians, to put it in perspective.
Okay.
And that's a very timely thing. So you have to be an elite to go to the Olympics. I was nowhere close to going to the Olympics. Don't get me wrong about that. But I was at that level, and that's the level that schools really start getting interested in you at. And there was just some random Wednesday. I remember the assistant coach at UF followed me on Instagram. And I just kind of raised my eyebrows and was like, what in the world?
Are you like celebrating, or are you like,
yeah,
oh, what's happening here?
I was just so puzzled. And I just told my mom, I was like, this is weird. And then lo and behold, 3 days later, I get a random call from my coach while I'm driving. And she's like, are you sitting down? I'm like, well, I'm driving. And this is my club coach, by the way. And she was like, well, pull over. And I was like, okay. I pulled over, and she told me, University of Florida wants to offer you an athletic scholarship.
No.
And I was like, no way. I was just blown out of my mind. And I was like, that explains Instagram follow, I guess. But moral of the story, there had been a lot of coaching changes at the school I was committed at before and at University of Florida, and things just shifted around, and a spot opened up, and I went for a visit on spring break. It was like a couple days later, and just totally fell in love with the campus. Okay. I got that feeling that everybody talks about when it feels like home, when you step onto the campus you're supposed to be at. And I was just so pumped because amazing athletics, amazing academics here at UF, and I committed the next day.
Okay, so was it, so when this happened, your club coach calls you, right?
Yeah.
Are you like in this mindset, like when that happens, are you just like automatic, almost like hell yes, like I'm totally going? Or are you kind of like, well, they sent me that email saying to check back with them when a few years ago. Maybe I'll consider it, but like, where were you at? Were you like, let's do this, or?
Well, I was just so shocked. Honestly, it was really surprising. I knew that coaches from around the country were looking at the gymnasts that were committed at the school I was at before because of all the coaching changes, but I never expected University of Florida to reach out to me. So I was just like really pumped up, and I was like, well, I gotta go see it. Like, I'm gonna regret it if I just say no right away, because Florida was an original dream school, and everything just worked out, and I still can't believe I'm here competing for the Gators. It's just so surreal.
And you were named in March the 2021 SEC Scholar Athlete of the Year.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, good for you. I mean,
thank you.
Like I think I went and looked it up. You have a 3.98 GPA in advertising. I mean, that's really incredible. I mean, especially with the demanding schedule and stuff. I'm just amazed. I think it's awesome. So congratulations.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I'm super honored to have been awarded that as well.
It's very cool. So let's kind of dive into some of the changes that are really happening in the NCAA.
Yes.
Because I just think it's fascinating. Some people are for it, some people are against it. I don't really care. I'm like, this is just super interesting stuff. And it started happening kind of like right in the middle of your college career, right? So, and for everybody who doesn't know, like the NCAA, and maybe I should let Leah really explain it, but this is kind of the way I understand it, is that the NCAA has allowed college athletes to now capitalize on their name their image and their likeness, right? So you guys kind of, I mean, through the world of social media that we have now and all of these fans who, watch you guys, you become influencers in your sport or, wherever. And now you're able to like really kind of capitalize on that, right?
Yes.
Am I explaining that correctly?
Yes,
so why don't
exactly
you,
right.
So this is what I would love to know. I would love to know, like, this shift, like when this happened and NCAA said, okay, like we're going to allow athletes to profit from their name, image, and likeness. How was that explained to you guys? Like, what was the process? How did this unfold to the athletes?
Well, the unfolding process is really interesting because it was a long time coming. I remember first hearing about the possibility that these laws were going to go into effect, way over a year ago. And it was so much of a slim chance. It was just very confusing. It was like, maybe this will happen while you're still in college. And I was like, oh, that'd be so cool. That'd be awesome. But it got put on the back burner because it hasn't happened yet. And
so did you just kind of discount it as like, all right, that's probably like, that'd be cool if it happens, but it's probably not going to happen. So let me not worry about it.
I wouldn't say I discounted it because I knew it would be a really cool opportunity, but it was more of a waiting game. Like, is this actually going to happen? Because things with the NCAA go like that sometimes. Sometimes there's talk about stuff and sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. But I was really pumped when I heard that it might because I have been building my brand in general since I came to college, not necessarily for the purpose of capitalizing on it, but I've worked really hard on all these passion projects, and it's really cool to get to have some sort of monetary benefit to that, like everyone else in the world, because I have a purpose for the things that I'm doing. Like, I have a mission to help people live happier and healthier lives, and I want to inspire people, and I want to use my platform for good. And I can totally do that without these new laws. But it's really cool that now college athletes are able to capitalize on their personal brands just like everyone else. So to put things in perspective or give a more tangible example, like, someone that is not a college athlete could have a food blog. And I actually do have a food blog, so this is very personal to me. But they can have, sponsored posts on Instagram or on any social media saying, like, buy this protein bar, whatever it is. But as a student athlete, if I were to do that and make money from that, that would jeopardize my NCAA eligibility. And there's all sorts of things, in that realm of capitalizing on your name, image, and likeness that apply as well. So like before this, a student athlete couldn't get paid to be on a commercial or appear in a flyer for a local business or, just really make money off of who they are in any way, shape, or form. So
now all that's legit?
So, yes, for the most part, it's a free-for-all. And that's been where the confusing things have come in because to go back to your original question, how it was all unfolded to the student athletes, nobody really knew what was going on for a long time. And there was all these state laws that were getting passed, but the NCAA governing body wasn't necessarily giving NCAA laws. So everyone was really confused for a while, and it was more of a yellow light situation. Like, we knew that the state law was going into effect this summer, but were we actually going to be able to do anything? And compliance office was so confused, and thus all the athletes were so confused. And it was really a waiting game until about the middle of May when things started happening and us finding out about what we might be able to do and what we won't be able to do. And then once that July 1st date came where the laws went into effect, things happened really fast. And the NCAA put out a statement saying, like, yes, you can make money, kind of an interim thing. I don't want to, get into the specifics because I might not have them 100% correct. But basically what we knew was what the state law here in Florida said. And that's what we've been able to go off of. So
is that coming from like the coaching, or is that coming from the NCAA, like directly to your email box? Like, what did it look like? How was it communicated?
Yeah, so for the most part, it was the University Athletic Association emailing us and sending out, information through this platform that we use as student athletes. But really, they did a great job, following all the rules. And Florida is very conservative, and they want to do everything that I'm not saying that right, but they don't want to do things wrong, and they want to make sure that everything is in line with the law and in line with the NCAA. And so we didn't know what we could do for a long time. But then once the things started happening, they put together like really nice, easy to read PDFs and sent them out. Like, here are frequently asked questions. This is what the law says in layman's terms. And that was super duper helpful. But it's been an exploration process on the athletes' end to find those opportunities, because the athletic association or our coaches, they can't help us, make brand deals and that kind of stuff. That is all on us. So that's been a really fun process, and I'm really thankful. So
that's on you.
Yeah.
You can go out and you can say, yo, new scooters for less. I bought a scooter from you back in the day. Put me on your flyer. Yeah. I'll do it. I'm going to charge X. You get to decide what you want to charge?
Yes. Most of the time.
Do you have to report it? Do you even have to say?
Yeah.
You do have to. So you have to say, I'm making 10 grand off my name, image, and likeness. You have to let them know?
So exactly. So there's just a few rules. You can't promote sports wagering and things like that I wouldn't do anyway, but
which makes sense because you guys are athletes.
Basic rules like that. But other than that, it's pretty much a free-for-all, and you can do what you want as long as you disclose it to the university and the NCAA or whatever. There's a form we have to fill out, so we have to tell what we're doing, but there's no approval process or anything like that. So now it's on us to be careful on what we're doing and make good decisions and act within the law. And I created an LLC, so I'm not liable and all that good stuff. So there's a lot of really interesting opportunities for educating the athletes on it. But I would just say it's a really exciting time because everything has been the same for so long, in that college athletes have been amateurs, meaning not professional, meaning they can't make money off of sponsorships, endorsements, whatever. But now all of that's changing, and we can make money. So
and correct me if I'm wrong, really quick. A lot of it had to do with the fact, you guys are so busy in practices and doing everything else that literally there's no time for a part-time job. No. Am I getting that right? So one of the big arguments coming from the athletics side, or from the athletes themselves, were I don't, I can't go out and work because I'm here at practice. This is my work.
Yeah.
So the fact that I'd be able to benefit from my name, image, and likeness by, promoting a local company or a brand or whatever, that's an opportunity for me to generate some income while I'm in school.
Exactly. And a really important part of that as well is using our platforms, because as a gymnast, my personal experience is a lot of gymnasts, after you retire from the sport after college, your relevance just drops off really fast. And there's new people that come in. I mean, it's different for other sports when people go pro and stuff like that. But with gymnastics, this is the biggest platform that I'm going to have. And I want to be able to use it while I'm a Gator gymnast, because we have a huge following, and Gator Nation is incredible. And there's so much support and so many young gymnasts out there that just look up to the University of Florida gymnasts. And that's just totally awesome. And I want to take advantage of that, in that I can inspire young athletes out there and make a positive impact. And that's really important to me through this process, is staying authentic, staying positive, and really making an optimistic, great impact on athletes, not just going for those quick hits that you see on social media. Oh, I'm wearing these these leggings, like buy them and then getting paid for that. I want to have a long-lasting relationships with brands that really serve the missions that I'm trying to serve, and also build something that's going to outlive my gymnastics career. Because, you know, after I'm done with being a Gators gymnast, like, I'm not going to be a gymnast anymore, and nobody's going to care about my gymnastics. But can I build a personal brand that people still want to follow, like literally and figuratively, that they're still interested in, that they still find value in after I'm done with this sport? So that's been definitely top of mind for me, and for a while through this whole process, and thinking about, you know, what opportunities I want to pursue through the name, image, likeness.
Yeah. So, all right. So this is super cool. I have a bunch of questions. So we're going to have to we're going to go through some of these. Okay.
For sure.
Have you capitalized on your name, image, and likeness yet?
It's in the works.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was making sure everything was all set up, and, you know, allowed, but I've got some really exciting projects coming up.
Okay, so the answer is no, you haven't quite yet, but it's in progress. You're getting to that point. All right.
Yeah,
cool.
like my bank account has not reflected any incoming money, but the money is coming.
All right, I like it. All right, and so one of the projects that you have is a podcast.
Yes.
Like, you're doing a podcast. So why don't you, like, real quickly give me, like, the 1 minute version of, like, what your podcast is, because you had the blog, right? And that kind of led into the podcast. So give me, like, the 1 minute story of that really quick.
Okay, well, before I do that, I actually did lie. So I have made 24 cents on my personal brand.
I'm so glad that you came clean.
Because I actually just activated automatic sponsorships on my podcast literally a couple of hours ago.
Okay.
And I haven't released a new episode or anything, so probably like a couple random people listened to it, and now I have 24 cents from automatic podcast sponsorship. So that's just kind of a funny thing. But, like, I couldn't do that before. I wouldn't have been able to do that before. So that's, like, really cool. And
because you would have gotten in trouble if you would have made money off that podcast, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, there was just, like, there's so much gray, right? Before there was so much gray, but this kind of, like, releases a lot of the gray.
Yeah, if it wasn't tied to, like, me at all, me being a Gator gymnast, it might have been fine. But since it's literally a podcast about gymnastics, and I'm the host, and I'm bringing my expertise as a Gator gymnast, it would not have been fine. But it is now, so that's really cool.
Yeah, it's cool. And it's so funny because, like, even as you're just talking about these things, I'm kind of reflecting about, you know, my career here at New Scooters for Less, and some of the, like, we would get, like, letters from the, you know, or from the athletic association, just kind of saying, hey, local businesses, please know that you cannot give discounts on services or products, and, like, you know, and they, like, legit had in there, like, scooters, right? You can, like, do not give discounts on services for scooters, you know, or, like, I mean, it was in their letter that they sent to us. So that's kind of fascinating, because I'm kind of, like, reflecting back on a lot of the stuff that I was receiving, because I used to forward it to my team, being like, hey, like, I know we have a lot of student athletes in here. Like, if they ask for a discount, the answer is no, unless it's like a sale or something that we're providing to everybody. The answer is no.
Right.
And so, you know, I even remember there was a time where we had a group of athletic students, and, like, all the parents, they came in, and, you know, they were like, hey, we're buying scooters for, like, all the new freshman players on the team.
What?
was like, can we get a discount? And, like, it's just like black and white. It's like, no, they can't, like, the thing, if we're not able to, if it's something that we would not offer to anybody else, we're not going to be able to offer it to you.
Right.
And it wasn't like it wasn't like the students themselves or anything asking. It was like, you know, a lot of the parents not understanding the rules and that kind of thing. It was like, hey, like, we can't do it. Yeah. Now, if it was something that we were going to offer to everybody, then yeah, we could, you know? So I don't know. It's super interesting to kind of see it kind of, like, get out of this, because now it sounds like, if I'm like, hey, Leah, what, and real quick, like, Leah's already a customer. She bought a scooter when did you buy your scooter? In
2018. Okay. Yes, I love my scooter.
She's got a genuine buddy. If you need a genuine buddy, this is the place to come. Quick promo for ourselves.
Yeah, so you couldn't have given me a free scooter back then, but now I'll take a free scooter.
But now, so that's what you're saying. So now, like back in the day, like no way, not a possibility. But today in 2021, like you got freshmen coming in or whatever, like anybody coming in, or even if it's you, I could say, hey, Leah, I'm going to give you a brand new scooter. What I want you to do. And we would negotiate that agreement. You know, maybe it's some influencer post, maybe it's like being in our flyer or whatever. Like we could negotiate that between you and me as student athlete and business owner. And I could just give you that scooter for doing that work.
Yep, exactly. As long as it's fair market value, as the state law says, which is very ambiguous. So I think like you could give me a free scooter, but I would probably have to like do something like be on a flyer or post on my social media, make a TikTok with the scooter or something in exchange for that. But yeah, it's a deal that you can make now, and that's super cool. Just like, you know, any other celebrity influencer out there. But I do want to go back to your question about creating my blog and my podcast, because I do love to talk about that. And I know we've been talking about a lot of legal mumbo jumbo, and I'm much better about talking about me, if I'm being perfectly honest. So I'd love to share that story.
I love it. Yeah, go ahead.
And really, my blog started back in 2018 when I graduated high school. I just found myself having extra time on my hands once I was done with school, and I wanted a project. I think there was a day where I created a recipe, brought it to my gymnastics practice, and people loved it. And so they asked me to send it, and I made this really pretty infographic with the recipe, and people were like, this is so good. You should make a blog or do something with this. And it just really got my wheels turning, and was like, why not? That would be a fun project. So it originally started with my sister, who's also an amazing gymnast. Love her. And we loved experimenting in the kitchen together around that time. We would watch cooking shows together, create recipes together, and we had a new adventure. We wanted to create a blog together, and we did. And we just started really sharing those recipes that we were creating, and it was so much fun. Since then, just to clarify, she got super busy with school, and I came to college, and I more personally ran with the blog. But I've loved the journey so far. I've been running it for 3 years now, and just learned a ton, from food photography to connecting with an audience to how to build a website and manage social media. And it's just been such a great learning experience and so much fun. And I really fell in love with experimenting in the kitchen even more, and got all these new recipes out of trying to create content. And it was just so much fun. But I always had that purpose in mind, that I wanted to help people realize that clean eating can be fun, and just sharing those recipes to help people fuel up with delicious and nutritious food alongside me. And that is still true to this day. That's the goal. And maybe, well, I am exploring possible brand partnership ideas with local restaurants and things like that.
Very
so
cool.
Like, that's a really cool evolution of the blog that does tie into name, image, likeness. But for the past couple of years, I really was just doing it to share those recipes and connect with people over food. And it's been super great.
Let me ask you a quick question in regards to that, right? So if there's a local business who's listening and they're like, oh my gosh, like a student athlete has the right audience for my business. I mean, scooters for sure, right? It's like, so how would you recommend a business like mine, reaching out to an athlete like yourself or to somebody else? Like, how do we make this happen? Personally, I've already seen agencies starting to jump into this, and they almost like, I don't know if they're like managers on your behalf, if that's kind of the case. I'm starting to see that kind of a little bit. I'm already getting emails from different companies. But I mean, just kind of going back, if there's a Colin Austin with the New Scooters for Less, a local business wants to work with, Leah, who's a gymnast at UF, what's the best way to kind of reach out and set that relationship up?
Yeah, for sure. So I do know there are a lot of platforms that are up and coming and some already existing that are like middlemen in connecting businesses with student athletes. But I would say the ultimate way is to just go on to the Florida Gators roster, whatever school it is, I think everyone's social media is listed, or just directly look them up on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, whatever it is. Look up their name, find them on social media, and cross your fingers that they have their email there or some sort of post that is like showing how to contact them, or just sending a direct message. I think that's the number one way.
Is your Instagram profile public?
My Instagram profile is public. I've got my email on there. I've got a website. I think the people that are really up and up on all of this stuff, I know a lot of gymnasts are. They've created personal websites. I have one personally myself showing their work and their contact information. So really, I think the social media is the number one way to go for businesses to find people, and anyone can direct message somebody else as long as they're public. And I really think that anyone that's willing to work with brands probably has a public social media profile, because if they wouldn't, nobody would want to work with them because they would have less reach for the posts because not everybody can see them, you know what I mean? But yeah, definitely just social media direct messages, finding emails. Like my direct messages and email is open for brand collaborations. And cool. There have been like a lot of emails that have been coming in. I'm sure, I don't know what other people's experiences are, but there's a lot of like random direct messages and emails that are like, what in the world is this? I don't think this is real. But then there are the ones that are really great opportunities, and that's a really exciting thing. But on that note, I think it really depends on the athlete. And, you know, there's super famous quarterbacks and like star football players that everybody knows. They've got hundreds of thousands of followers on social media. But then there's those other athletes, I would say myself included in that category, who are maybe not the top player on their team or the most well-known, but really have great personal brands and really have lovely social medias, and they know what they're doing. They have a voice. They have a brand. And those people are going to be really great micro-influencers for businesses as well. And I think, so for me, falling into that category, I think the brands that I really want to work with probably aren't going to come straight to me, and I'm going to have to pitch to them, which is a fun learning experience for me because I've listened to podcasts and, you know, just read articles online on how to pitch to brands. And I'm starting that process a little bit. I definitely have a long list of, products that I love or brands that I want to work with that I'm going to start pitching to. And we'll just see where all of that goes. But it's a super, super exciting time. I know I've probably said that at least 25 times during this interview so far, but it really is exciting, and it's a whole new frontier. So it's definitely going to change. There's definitely going to be like lots of ups and downs and evolving of this process. But I'm just glad that it's starting. I wasn't sure that it was going to happen while I was still an athlete. So I'm so thankful that I get to experience it a little bit, because I know there's a lot of people that missed out.
Okay, cool. So there's three questions. It's so funny. Real quick, it makes me think back. I mean, I don't know. It's just so cool for me to kind of reflect on New Scooters for Less, because like I remember when Eddie Pinheiro went to, like, he declared for the NFL. Mm-hmm. Like, he was a customer of ours as well, and he had bought a scooter, and we even had video of him when he bought the scooter, because we had been doing, like, we vlog, we do like some stuff like that, and I was like, oh man, I don't even know if we should release this, because I don't want to get him in trouble and somebody think that we were trying to promote ourselves using his, name, image, and likeness. So we never even released, like, we never even included him in the vlog, which is something that we did on a normal day-to-day basis. And so, but then when he declared for the NFL, I texted him that afternoon. I'm like, Eddie, dude, you have to, like, now that you're going to the NFL, you could, like, be a influencer for our brand. and I'll pay you to like post about new scooters for less on your social media. And he's like, yeah, bro, let's go. Like, let's do it, you know? And so that, you know, the next day or that week or whatever, we ended up setting that up. And he even had a manager already at that time, you know, and it was pretty cool. So it's so cool to kind of see this evolution, you know, of this name, image, and likeness thing, and to the point where it's like, I don't have to like even be concerned as a business anymore, because I think there's some genuine concern as a business of getting the athletes in trouble. We don't want to do that, right? But being able to work with somebody like yourself to promote our brand would be kind of cool. So it's neat. All right, so I have 3 quick questions before we wrap up this episode. One is there any brand or company that you want to work with? Like, is there any like that dream brand? Like, man, if I could work with this company, this would be like the most awesome thing ever.
Honestly, Nike would be so cool, because there's just an aura about Nike sponsored athletes. And that's a really funny thing for me to say, because I'm actually doing an internship with Nike right now.
Okay.
So I technically am working with Nike, but they're definitely not sponsoring me as an athlete. I don't think that would ever happen. And I'm super close to it with this internship. It's so much fun, and it's been a great experience so far, and I'm very thankful. But yeah, that's up there. There are a ton of just like other random brands that I would love to work with. Like, for example, there's this, I don't know if you've ever seen a Theragun or a Hypervolt. Like, it's this massage
Okay,
thing.
I have it. Is it like the pulsating ones?
Yeah,
Okay.
a pulsating like recovery tool. So like things like that, like I would use that every day, and they cost like a couple $100, and I don't want to pay for that. So I think I'm going to be sending an email
Like,
being
send
like,
me one. I will put it on my social media.
Yeah, I will
It'll
post
cost-
on my Instagram if you send me a free whatever. And so things like that.
They would totally do that. They would totally do that.
I think those are like realistic things for me to go after. But also there's a lot of opportunity on the food side of things with my food blog. So I'm really excited for that with, meal delivery services, just different, food products. I'm like more on the plant-based, like whole foods kind of side of eating.
Sure, yeah, of course.
But still, like, there's great, food companies out there to work with in that niche, because that is like such a community, and that's something that I want to explore a little bit as well. And then I know we haven't talked about my podcast on here, but that is another thing that I would love to tie in.
What's the name of your podcast, really quick?
The name of my podcast is Zest and Progress, and it's all about uncovering athlete stories of resilience, self-confidence, and energy. So it's on Spotify and Apple. I guess I'm taking the time to do a personal plug here, but yeah, feel free to check it out. I've interviewed several of my teammates and other gymnasts, and that's been another really great learning experience. But the Gymternet is the gymnastics internet, and that's another very tight-knit community that is just, really awesome. And I would love to work with, leotard companies or grips companies specific to gymnastics brands, or just specific to, athletic brands, for podcast sponsorship kind of things as well. So I feel like, to sum it all up, I've been building these brands just like myself as a student athlete, and then myself as a food blogger and as a podcaster over these past couple of years. And now is the time that I get to work with other brands and really try to capitalize on these things that I've been building, because it's really cool. And I would love
It's exploratory, right?
Yeah,
like, it's very exploratory.
exactly.
It's kind of like, let's kind of get out there. Let's see what happens. It's
right.
neat.
I would love to work for myself someday. So I guess this is a little bit of a test run, see how, an influencer thing goes and just get a taste of that world a little bit. But like I mentioned before, staying authentic and true to myself is like the number one priority, because I don't want to just work with a bunch of brands just to work with a bunch of brands. I want to be giving value to my followers and the people that listen to my podcast and look at my food blog. I don't want it to just be random advertisements. And I think that that goes for, everyone in this business for the most part. But I'm just trying to keep that, at the front of my mind through everything.
Cool. Final question. Gator Gymnastics 2022 season coming up. Like, how we feeling? How we looking? Think we're going to be good?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. I'm so excited. We could talk about that all day. But, everyone's pretty much back training in the gym for the summer, and our preseason starts soon, and I'm so pumped. Awesome. It's going to be great. I think we've got incredible incoming freshmen as well.
Awesome.
So that is going to be really, really cool. And our team's going to be bigger than it has been the past few years. I don't know if it might be the biggest Florida gymnastics team ever, at least with the current coaches. It will be. So I think we're going to have a lot of depth, a lot of just incredible gymnastics. We have a ton of elites coming in, and it's going to be a great time. Everyone's
awesome.
Always motivated, so let's go.
Dude, I'm so excited. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on. This was super interesting stuff. I'm excited to kind of see how this progresses. I'm going to want to check in with you. I'll keep in touch via, Instagram, DM, and be like, hey, what's happening? Like, just keep you posted. I think this will be kind of interesting and maybe we'll do a follow-up at some point to kind of see how it's progressed, because I think it's really, really cool. So thank you so much for coming on the show. And thanks so much to James Leitner for making us look so good with this excellent lighting and this video work. James, you are the best, man. Thanks so much for your hard work on the show. And podcast fam, if you were driving and didn't have a chance to write down the information from our incredible sponsors, no worries. You can always check that out at whoagnv.com/sponsors. We have links to their websites, and please, please, please support all of the incredible people that are making this show happen. And special love this episode to our friends over at The Best Restoration. You guys, you need to have friends on your side when those disasters happen. And if you're like me and my business, they happen quite often. When that toilet overflows, or when that pipe bursts in the wall, or if you're like us and you move into a place that's full of mold, The Best Restoration is there for you. I can speak firsthand to the quality of their work. They have helped us at New Scooters for Less multiple times. With their certified techs and state-of-the-art equipment, these guys are the masters of disaster. Give them a call at 352-505-3321 or visit them at thebestrestoration.com. And when you do, be sure to say, I heard you on the WHOA G&V podcast, the podcast bringing you businesses and individuals that make you go,
whoa.
Whoa. We will see you later. Bye.